Ginzberg in 1951, which is quite a while ago, came up with this developmental theory of vocational choice. And it just sort of, it sort of sets up vocation into a set of different stages. So in childhood, you fantasize about careers. I wanted to be a marine biologist or maybe a gypsy princess. I don't know how you make money doing that, but that's what I wanted to do. And then in adolescence, we explore identity, lifestyle, and values, right? So things that are sort of loosely related to career, but can feed into career choices, because when work and person are a good match, work will support identity, lifestyle, and values, right? And then in early adulthood, where we're focused right now, there becomes more of a commitment towards careers. And you all are in exactly that place where you did undergrad. It might have been in a variety of different fields. And now you're like, wow, I want to be an OT, right? So there's this commitment. And when you're done with schooling, you will go out and be an OT if you really like it. And that's what you decide that you actually want to do. But early adulthood is this time where one says, yes, this is it, and actually commits. That's the third period. Sorry, there's 3 periods, not 4. The Ginzberg viewed development as continuous. And there's some criticism of his work that this may be too narrow a view and framework. It may be unrealistic because of what I said earlier, that young adults change jobs often, and the nature of work is changing. So it's something to think about, but it's not the end all and be all. I would also say that there are certain people who work is never really their defining self-identity characteristic. They work because they need to, and they have avocational interests that are really the thing that, that makes them tick and really like kind of floats their boat, right? And so work is a way of maintaining financial security so that they can actually engage in this other thing that they might not be able to make money at, but is really their passion and love. So we want to consider that as well. And that's, for sure in typical development and in folks who actually have a somewhat entitled career path, right? So there's a plethora of people who don't have any choice in job and just must work multiple jobs in order to provide for their family, right? And in which case, that whole thing gets disrupted. Okay, leading to discontinuous career paths. So employment sometimes is disrupted. It could be due to illness or disability. It could be due to child rearing. I find at my occupational therapy clinic, which is a pediatric clinic, Firefly Center, and you'll undoubtedly hear about that as we go through the semester. I tend to get young adults come to work for me, and then they want to have babies, and so I mostly have women working for me. I think just because of the demographics of OT in the country. And please, men, don't be scared off. But in any case, I have a lot of women working for me and have throughout the years. And we have a lot of maternity leave because of that, right? So women will take off time, and sometimes men will take off time, and non-binary folks will take off time to do early child care, and that will interrupt career path. Also, continuing education, which can kind of create a jog in one's career path, may be a disruptive factor. Compensatory strategies can help during this time. And this can be like providing different options for people who, for whatever reason, have some disruption, like working from home, having a more flexible work schedule, taking, like I said, maternity leave, offering different pay rates, offering different tasks, things like that. So there are different strategies that can help with this, but it is something that interrupts career, and it can be beneficial for some, but many adults, young adults, find themselves taking on different part-time jobs, as I said, just to make some money rather than maintaining a full-time job. And that structure enables more flexibility, but maybe not such a straightforward career path. So suffice to say that that folks do a lot of different things. Next, we turn to work-life balance. So the current generation is emphasizing this concept much more than any previous generation. COVID, and again, I don't mean to harp on it, but we're still in it, and it really has changed the nature of work-life balance. Folks that were hopping on their Google bus at 7 in the morning and coming home at 11 at night are now like, wow, do I really want to be doing this? And I point out one high-tech company. I'm not saying that it's limited to them. Everybody that works for Google is like that. I'm not saying anything like that, but just as an example, this idea of just working to the max has really come under scrutiny because people have been home and they've been thinking, oh, I could spend time with my family. I can pursue relationships. I can engage in my hobbies. I can engage in more self-care. And so what we're seeing is that the work-life balance for young adults is shifting. People are reprioritizing time, and they're reprioritizing what their priorities are. So I think that we're going to be seeing this more and more. And one area that it's definitely going to come up and will be addressing for a while when we work with young adults is working from home versus working on site. So we'll see, and also education online versus education in person. So a lot remains to be seen about where we come out with that. All right, so a couple additional considerations. The first is immigration. This decreases access to any kind of financial aid for schooling. It makes it less likely that an individual will obtain a college degree, and immigration status can present a barrier to employment opportunities if one does not have a green card or a work permit. So just to keep in mind, especially in California, we have a huge immigrant population and a significant population that is undocumented. So again, there's this link between socioeconomic status, ethnicity and race, politics around immigration, and work and education, and then the ability to succeed as a young adult. Another consideration is supported employment. So we're now looking at young adults who have disabilities, and how can we more effectively support them in finding employment? OT has a huge role in this in terms of building employment and work skills, and also promoting development of employment opportunities. So on the one hand, we're actually building the skills and abilities of the individual who is our client who may have a disability. And on the other side of it, we can do program development at a variety of companies to help develop employment opportunities that would be well matched to the skills of our folks with disabilities, and a good match for the company as well. So creating kind of win-win situations. And that's an exciting and less traditional role for OT, but definitely one that is emerging. All right, meandering on to IADLs. So in young adulthood, this takes on a little bit different flavor. I know that you know all about IADLs, but we're thinking about things like acquisition of necessities, goods, and services. So how do you acquire a place to live? How do you fill out a rent agreement? How do you get a credit report? How do you purchase a home? Also, how do you get a job, right? How do you maintain a job? How do you talk to your boss? A whole set of things. And the third area is obtaining, maintaining, all of that, a vehicle or appropriate transportation so that you can get to and from your home, your job, your social situations, etc. And then in terms of IADLs in particular, household management really takes on a primary role, right? So you're in your own home. If you don't do it, nobody is going to. Also financial management in a much greater way than our adolescents would need to do. This is the first stage of development where financial management is largely independent, and that's an expectation of young adults. And then caregiving and parenting. So young adults may be caregiving for their older relatives. They also may be parenting their own children, and they may be doing both at the same time. We also want to consider the configurations of how families live. There may be multi-generations, there may be just parents and child, there may be extended family, etc. So that is going to really vary according to the family, region, culture, traditions in your particular family, value of elderly, value of children placed on children and the elderly, etc. Social and leisure. So we've said some of this before, but recreation and leisure, of course, are important to young adults. They're often linked to the educational environment or the work context. So, you go to school and you go to work and you meet your friends, and those are your friends. They're also linked to family values and activities. So what you do with your families, and that can be important. And then there's leisure co-occupations, which are group activities like sports or concerts. I'm sure you remember those from the way back land. And they tend to be highly rewarding and can protect against loneliness, which we addressed earlier on. Things about recreation and leisure are like meeting friends after work for a drink or a meal, a valued activity with a family or friends, either face-to-face or through social media, home leisure like watching a movie, things like that. So there's a variety of different social and leisure activities. We do them with different people in different contexts, but because there's so much responsibility placed on our young adults, they have to kind of fit in with that. Then we have community, social, and civic life. So parenting means that young adults enter into a totally different realm of community, social, and civic life, right? They have a role as parents, and so suddenly they are a member of a parenting group, a parent-teacher association, they're being coaches for their kids, they're supporting youth activities or participating or volunteering, and they identify themselves as a member of the community at large. So it's the time when folks go into the community and become a person within a community. Our adolescents are still somewhat self-absorbed and looking to themselves and their peer group, but young adults are much more capable of broadening out. Childcare is an issue for young parents, and so community supports is a very huge aspect of community engagement, right? Whether you have parent-run nursery schools or a co-op or take turns babysitting for the kids, a variety of different options, right? A church may have a childcare or a nursery school associated with it. So a lot of different options, but they tend to link back to the community. And accessing childcare and early education is super important. It also can be expensive. And again, there's this link between socioeconomic status and the opportunities offered young adults, children. It's especially difficult for families of who have children with disabilities to access appropriate childcare options. And then that means that their employment options are limited, right? If you can't find childcare, you have to provide it yourself. And so that complicates young adulthood, and some of the work, employment, schooling that we talked about, how important that those occupations were. If you have a child with a disability, it interrupts that. So do keep that in mind when working with either children or young adults. Next up is spirituality and religion. So in young adulthood, people explore and refine their belief systems. They may stay with the practice of their youth. They may switch. They may have religious beliefs that grow as they come into young adulthood. And there may be a return to organized religion when a young adult has children of their own. They want to share their belief systems with their children. Spirituality has been found to be a support during stressful times, and it is an emotional support when there's an illness or family difficulty or other challenge. So spirituality and religion are a little bit different, and we'll talk about that as we go through, the various stages of life. But suffice to say that religion is organized around a particular belief, and spirituality has a little bit more openness and a flexible structure to it. Not sure I'm satisfied with that definition. We can talk about it if you'd like, but suffice to say that spirituality and religion can both be very important for young adults. All right. In summary, we're getting to the end. The transition to adulthood is complex, and it has a lot of parts and pieces. The successful transition from adolescence to young adulthood involves sophisticated decision making. So again, remember this prefrontal cortex. Development of occupational identity is key. There's new occupational engagement through employment, marriage, or partnership and parenting. And young adults are generally viewed as healthy, although we do see both physical and mental issues in the young adult population. So, what questions do you have? Please jot down your questions about anything that I've talked about or any of the information that's in the presenter's notes. And please bring it to class. We will have a class discussion and answer any questions you have, talk about any of the issues that were brought up, go into new directions, whatever it is that you need. Happy to provide that for you. And this presentation was built through your textbook. And I thank you so much for your attention. I hope you have a really good afternoon and evening or morning, depending on when you watch this. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in class real soon. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.